Today we're talking about the train derailment and chemical explosion that happened in Ohio, and apparently there's one in Texas that I haven't even looked up yet also. So, we weren't going to do a video about this, but our viewers asked us to do this on our opinion. Listen, this is why we prepare. We are not preparing for the zombie apocalypse. We are not preparing for the tribulation. You cannot prepare for the tribulation. This is the kind of thing we prepare for. We lived in our last town, Meade, Colorado, teensy tiny little town, suburbs of Denver, but they had a chemical plant there. And they did, not while we were there, it's actually a couple of years before we moved there, but they had to evacuate the town because of an explosion at the chemical plant right before we moved there, which we didn't know, or we probably wouldn't have moved there. But this is why you prepare. So what happened with this train derailment?
Well, we don't know all the details, but a train derailed in Ohio because of a variety of things. Apparently, it sounds like there were problems with the tracks, problems with the brakes on the train, and maybe some other reasons. But the train was carrying a lot of highly toxic, deadly chemicals that were apparently not marked correctly. So it was unclear that the train had that on there. And so there were a lot of things that went into the mix there. But the emergency responders that responded to this, apparently in order to try to mitigate a problem, they set it on fire. And when they set it on fire, it caused...
They evacuated everyone first.
They evacuated everyone. So again, as Tara was talking about...
this is what we're preparing for.
Yeah, as Tara was talking about, you in this case, you would have a little bit of time to know. And the same thing with like forest fires. When we were in Colorado, there were forest fires and people would get, maybe a couple of hours or maybe half an hour notice that there was something, and that's enough time if you're prepared to grab the stuff you need.
It's not like in the middle of the night when your house is on fire, you literally have 30 seconds to get out of your house. You actually have time to gather some things, usually.
Yeah. So anyway, they set it on fire to try to mitigate a risk, apparently of an explosion that they thought might happen. But when they set it on fire, it turned one of the chemicals into phosgene, which is a chemical weapon that they used in World War I. And I think that it killed 85,000 people in World War I. So, they told everybody get out, but if you don't have TV, you're not around, you might have just missed the memo that they're about to do this. And so that was highly dangerous. It
was a small town, so they probably went door to door too, but still.
Yeah. So a lot of people would wonder, it sounds like it sounds like the train was not operating with the best preparation and planning. It sounds like the responders maybe made some decisions that weren't necessarily best in the long run. And the chemicals ended up going into the air and into the water supply, which still is a concern for a lot of people there.
Now, what does that have to do with preparing? Here's the thing. This is why we prepare. In a situation like this, you need to think to yourself, what if I can never come home again? What do I take with me? If a wildfire is on the way, if a hurricane is on the way, if a chemical plant is exploding or exploded, or like in our town, it just exploded. They didn't have any notice. But in this situation, I think they had like 12 hours or something notice, quite a while. Think, what will I need? What is most important to me? That's why you keep a list of the most important things to take with you when you leave. That's why you have a bug out bag with some cash and an extra pair of clothes. Don't take stupid stuff like the TV.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times we see evacuation things and people are taking the TV. Don't take the TV. Take some food in case you're evacuated and you can't get to food. Take your photos, your very important things.
Things that are irreplaceable. Like you can buy most things again. So it's things like family photos. If you have space, first you want survival supplies.
Well,
things that are going to help you to survive.
Yeah.
But then I would say things that are irreplaceable, that you can't just buy them again.
And don't forget, you might need defense items like a knife or Mr. Smith & Wesson or mace or something, bear spray, something like that. That's why you always keep these things on hand, or a baseball bat, something. So think of that first. What would happen if I could never, ever come back to my house? What would I take? If my house was totally gone, these people really shouldn't even be going to their house getting the stuff now.
Yeah, I would, one of the chemicals, some of the chemicals persist in the environment and stay in low spaces and stuff. And so if we had a house there, I'd be very hesitant to go home. And one thing Tara had mentioned also is if you keep your financial situation in order before there's an accident, because I told her I wouldn't want to just trust somebody saying, I came in from XYZ government agency and I'm testing your well. I would want to test it myself if it meant my family could die.
But you won't have the money for that if you have a car payment, car loans, your credit cards are up the wazoo, you know, and we're always talking about getting your stuff paid off. Get your stuff paid off. Stop getting car loans. Stop it. That $500 to $700 a month for a car loan is how much you could put back in savings or get your credit cards paid off. If something really happened and you didn't have enough savings to cover hotel or setting up a new house or something, at least you could use your credit cards as an emergency backup if you just really, really had to. This is why you get your finances in order, because then you can pay for a hotel. You can pay to set up a rent, have a deposit for a new house. And everybody's like, well, I'll just sue the government. I'll just sue the railroad. Yeah, do you know how long that takes?
It takes years to get a payment for that. And if you don't go back to the house, insurance may not cover an emergency like that. So you may just be it might be a complete loss for you. So you then would have to figure out, okay, what am I gonna do? And if you have yourself in a good enough financial situation where, you know, you're not eating out so much, you're not buying things on debt, and you end up having a little bit of savings, which you will have if you don't do those things that most people do, then you have some wiggle room to figure out how am I gonna move on from here.
And it's these kinds of situations that people say, well, I just never get ahead. No, you're not getting ahead because you're eating out, you've got the car loans, you're buying houses you can't afford, you're not getting a better job. I'm sorry, this was our problem. There is an income problem. For a lot of people, it gets to the point where you just have to start earning more income. We could not live on $30,000 a year with 4 kids. We had to figure out how to make more money. We had all the excuses in the world. We were tired. Mike grew up in a household that was not good at teaching life skills. And he had a lot of emotional baggage that went along with his job stuff. Well, it finally got to the point where we were like, okay, we got to get this figured out. We can't keep doing this. And so when you get to that point and you realize, I can do this, I really can, and I'm going to get myself ahead, even in these bad economic times. Really, these times aren't that bad. I'm sorry. I know we're going to get a lot of flack for that, but it's really not. I have saved more money on my groceries this last January than I have in probably the last 5 to 8 years. There are good deals to be had out there. You can do it. You can take that money and put it on your car payment and get it off. But this is why we prepare. This is why we try to stay debt-free as much as possible. This is why we have the urgency to pay off our house.
Tara and I have had the experience where we didn't really have the money and the economy was like this, where the gas prices suddenly went up from $1 something to $3 and something. And we just had to adjust our budget. And you can too. It's difficult, but mainly in America, we've come to think that there are things that are life and death important to us that really aren't. And if you can get those things in order, what is the basic thing you would need if you just suddenly had nothing? What are the things you would need first? And if you kind of think in that mindset, it's a lot easier to deal with.
And for us, that was 2008, one of the worst years for the economy. And our income doubled in 2009 when we went to go do our taxes. It can be done. Our income almost doubled last year. It didn't
double because it just happened that way. It doubled because we said, okay, we need a strategy. How are we going to make our lives better?
Yep. And like last year, we're just bound and determined to get our house paid off. We have strategies that we are getting our house paid off. But listen, this is why we learn these things. This is why we push. I know this is our income. We push the cookbooks for our income. They're on sale right now. You can get a cookbook. But listen, how can this is a perfect example of what we were talking about. How can our cookbook help you in an evacuation situation? If you read our cookbook like a textbook, which it is, you will learn how to make substitutions. You will learn what dishes you can make when you don't have a kitchen to cook, like we don't have right now.
Or like when we were in a hotel that time you were...
When our son had to go to the Mayo Clinic and we were in a hotel for a week or 10 days, I can't remember how long it was. We didn't go out to eat. We learned how to cook in the hotel room. We have learned that with this remodel, we're not going out to eat every night. We are cooking with the appliances that we do have. Learn how to fix your car for basic things. Learn what baling wire is. Learn what duct tape is and how they hold things together. So that if you're on the road in an evacuation situation and something starts falling off your car, or you can't get everything in your car and you have to duct tape the trunk closed. But, you know, I'm kind of joking a little bit, but not really. We've been like that where we've had to duct tape pieces back to our car to hold it on there. But we knew how to do it. And we had the duct tape and the baling wire to do it. And so, guys, this is very serious. This is really, really serious. There are situations where, like in Turkey, there's nothing you're going to be able to do. If an earthquake that bad hits, you're just toast. You're just toast. But the people on the outlying areas where they didn't get hit so badly, but they're still alive, but they can't get supplies in and out. This is why we prepare. And this is a perfect example, and I know we keep pushing this, but guys, really, this is very, very serious, and you need to take it serious, and you have got to get your debt paid off, get your stockpile built up, and get your skills learned. At least get started so that you can take care of yourself in these situations.
And as Sarah mentioned, that like in Turkey, the people cannot, there's nothing they can do. But almost all emergencies, you either have your place to stay in, or you can grab something that you've prepared to go. So in almost all emergencies, you have that. So that's why she's talking about that.
Yep. Go watch this video next, livingonadime.com. We will see you guys next time.